Hello, girls, guys, or otherwise. This is Rich, and welcome to another Christo-Paganism Sunday. Today we are going through the parable of the sowers. Excuse me while I get my life here together real quick. Okay. Just trying to get the hood so it's not all annoying and, crap like that. Anyway, so first off, some points of order. I do want to apologize for the angle of the light. I am facing the window in the witchy room because of how I situated this desk and whatnot. And usually I do my videos at night or later in the day whenever there's not enough light outside to really, you know, drown me out with light. And it's kind of doing that right now, and I'm really not having it. Um, I might have to figure out something to do with that. But anyway, other points of order here is if you are not subscribed already, go ahead and go down uh, into the nether regions there and hit subscribe. Also, if you like these videos, hit the thumbs up and show your support like that. Also, if you have not commented on a video, I just got a comment earlier today. This is Friday whenever I'm filming this. So I got a comment earlier today, long-time listener, first-time commenter, and I really do appreciate that. I didn't get a chance to respond or read it in entirety. I just caught those little parts, but I really do like hearing from you guys. So go ahead and hit me up with a comment there. Let me know what you want to see on Christo-Paganism Sundays or Witchy Wednesdays. And getting into this parable today, we're going through the parable of the sower as depicted through Matthew 13. So grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab your beverage of choice, whatever it may be. I didn't even mean to rhyme there, but I did. I am drinking a mocha latte. I think it's a Javalia thing, but I wasn't really crazy about them to begin with. They've kind of grown on me. I added a little bit of sugar to it. Makes it a little bit nicer. But let me go ahead and get into the parable here. Let me move this. I'm going to read and I hope you guys can still hear me. I'm pretty sure you can. If not, I guess I'll turn up the volume in post, but it looks like I'm still hitting the marks there. So everything is good. Anyway, you guys don't care about that. Let's get into the parable of the sower. I am going to be reading from, this is the Catholic Answer Bible. So if you guys want to know what translation I'm using, this is the NAB. I think it's a New American Bible translation. I do believe. Yes, the New American Bible Revised Edition. So, just so you guys know what translation I'm using for this, whenever I initially looked and researched and, kind of deciphered the uh, the talks for today, I did use the Orthodox Study Bible. And I like that one because it actually has more books in it. So maybe I'll use that one more in the future, but I kind of like this one because it lives in my witchy room and travels quite easily with me. Has that nice leather feeling to it. The Orthodox Study Bible that I have is hardbacked, and it pretty much lives in my car. Sorry for bumping the mic there if you guys heard that. But yes, my Orthodox Study Bible pretty much lives in the car and travels to and from work or wherever else I'm going, just in case I need a little something to look up or to research or to read. So, getting into it, I'm going to go ahead and I'm only going to read the parable. The parable of the sower goes on from chapter 13 verse 1 to chapter 13 verse 9, but it also has a little explanation of the parable and all that as well. But yeah, I'm gonna break it up. I'm not gonna read everything until verse 23 because that just gets too daunting and whatnot. So anyway, Let's get on into it. Starting at chapter 1. On that day, Jesus went out of the house and sat down by the sea. Such large crowds gathered around him, and he got into a boat and sat down and spoke to the crowd stood along the shore. Um, uh, okay, hold on. And the whole crowd stood along the shore. Okay. And he spoke to them at length in parables, saying. Now, I want to stop there. For one, he's just like walking around. He's like, I'm going out of the house. I'm gonna sit down, and I'm gonna sit down by the sea. I'm going to enjoy the nice day that's out there. And these people come around and bother him for teaching. Okay, first of all, y'all people, rude. Sometimes, this is something that gets me. And I haven't had this situation. I know some YouTubers have, and I've only had one situation where I met somebody that was a fan from YouTube, a fan of the Pagan Perspective. I met them at a Ren fair, and it was really cool to meet somebody. She turns to me and she's like, you kind of look like somebody on YouTube for the Pagan Perspective. I said, yeah, that's because I am. And her and I took a picture together. It was really fun. I do apologize for that. That's my work alarm. And I'm not at work, but I'm not going to change my alarms just because of one day off. Anyway, I really enjoyed that because, I don't meet many of the people that actually watch our videos. So that's fun for me. But I know, like, some YouTubers, some celebrities out there, some of them just want to go out and enjoy their time out. And, people coming up and bothering them, that's just rude. Especially if you're, like, sitting there, like, fanboying out or fangirling out or fan-othering out, trying to be respectful of gender preferences and whatnot. If you are just fanning out over a celebrity and you're not allowing them to enjoy the things that you have free reign to enjoy, that's rude. So I just want to kind of get that out right there. It has nothing to do with the parable, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Anyway, we go on. And he spoke to them at length in parables, saying, A sower went out to sow. And as he sowed, some seed fell on the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky ground, where it had little soil. It sprang up at once, because the soil was not deep. And when the sun rose, it scorched, and it withered for lack of roots. Some seed fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it. But some seed fell on rich soil and produced fruit, 100 or 60 or 30-fold. Whoever has ears ought to hear. Okay. So, my first impressions are, this person who is sowing these seeds is very freaking clumsy. If they're going around and some seed falls here and some seed falls there, obviously you're not good at keeping your seed in your sack. Anyway, just kind of seems clumsy. Just one takeaway from the overall parable here is that this person is quite clumsy if they're dropping seed all willy-nilly. Very irresponsible. Get some protections there so your seed doesn't fall in the wrong hole. Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna move on here because then he explains it. Excuse me. It's not COVID. It's a smoker's cough. I should quit. I know. He goes on to explain it in verse 18 through 23. Hear then the parable of the sower. The seed sown on the path is the one who hears the word of the kingdom without understanding it, and the evil one comes and steals away what was sown in his heart. The seed sown on rocky ground is the one who hears the word and receives it at once with joy, but he has no root and lasts only for a time. When some tribulation or persecution comes because of the word, he immediately falls away. The seed sown among thorns is the one who hears the word, but then worldly anxiety and lure of riches choke the word, and it bears no fruit. But the seed sown on rich soil is the one who hears the word and understands it, who indeed bears fruit and yields 100 or 60 or 30-fold. Okay, so we got a lot of things going on here, and we're going to just break it on down. And I'm going to try to keep this somewhat short and sweet. I do have my notes here, so I am coming prepared. I came to class prepared, guys. Yay! Okay, so let's break it down to the basics of what's being said here. Basically, he's saying there's a message to be said, and he doesn't want the message to fall on deaf ears. Understandably so. If you're going to be sitting there with a whole multitude of people while you're in a boat and they're all on the shore listening, you don't want to have to reiterate yourself. Understand. Yeah. Anyway, he goes about telling people to listen by saying the parable of the type of people who hear the message and how they will respond. He equates the seeds of his message, which is the word of the kingdom. The birds are equated to the evil one, snatching what is sown in the heart. The stony ground is equated to those who hear of and are joyous, but when they're challenged, they stumble. The thorns are equated to those who hear, but care for this world too much, and therefore are choked out due to their deceitfulness of riches. Understandable. I can see where they're coming from. You have things distracting you. You know, your attention gets diverted. And lastly, you have those who are on good ground and hear the message and understand the message. Good. So let's get to the meaning. The message that we're being given here is to be a person who is receptive to his teachings with an open heart and mind. In doing this, we have to be aware of distractions that may come up in our lives. These can be distractions of the worldly sense, like being too consumed in YouTube, movies, or video games. Guilty. This would be the seeds in the thorns. Excuse me. We also have to be aware of the naysayers. There are Christians and pagans, admittedly more Christians than pagans, I will say this, that will tell you that your beliefs aren't valid. As Christo-Paganism, as Christo-Pagans, we do have those naysayers. We have Christians more predominantly than pagans, and I will freely say that will say, no, your practice isn't valid. A lot more times we get pagans that say, well, isn't Christianity a monotheistic religion, and doesn't the Bible say about not suffering a witch to live? Hey, guess what's going to be next week's topic? I think it might be. I think it needs to be. I think we need to go through and break down some of those topics. So I think that's what needs to happen. But anyway, you get a lot of those Christians out there that say, you know, you can't be Christian and pagan because, you know, Christianity is a monotheistic religion and it doesn't fit with our beliefs and this and that. However, to be Christian, you need to have a belief in Christ. Therefore, yes, it works. For pagans, they usually don't understand it because of the whole Bible saying witchcraft is not allowed and this and that, and not to have multiple gods and whatnot. And there are reasons for that as well, that I think those verses were put in there. So maybe I have to do a video on that one as well. So yeah, I think next week we're gonna delve into some of the witchcraft verses. I think then we move on to the uh, one God verses, the no other gods before me type verses. Anyway, so yeah, you're gonna be, up against people from time to time. I'm not saying this is an everyday thing that you have to deal with, where everybody is coming at you at all times. I don't want to present that, because you don't. Sometimes you have people who just welcome you in. I know on the pagan perspective, I had some individuals on the pagan perspective that didn't really understand my practice entirely, but I uh, as I discussed it more and more with them, they're like, okay, I can understand this. And I think I think Annie said it, and I hope that I'm quoting her correctly, because I used to claim as Christian Wiccan. And she's like, this is not necessarily Wicca as I know it, as a traditional Wiccan, but it does not mean that it's not valid for you. And she was very respectful, and I love Annie, and she is such a great friend. But yeah, I mean, you're going to have those people that will say, I don't quite get it, but it works for you. You'll probably get those more often than the ones that say, well, that's not a thing, which there are those people out there. And from time to time, you'll come up against them. Anyway, moving on from that point, they are sort of equated to the sun in regards to seeds on the stony ground. And it's okay not to have all the answers when you are challenged. If you come up against somebody, and I use that as, whenever you have an abrasive interaction with somebody, and they're like, oh, Christo-Paganism isn't a thing, and you're like, well, okay, that's what you think. And you start discussing things, and they're like, well, what do you think of, the goddess Hecate? Well, as somebody that is not a devotee of Hecate, I can't really speak intelligently to Hecate. So therefore, it's okay for me not to have those answers. I turn to them and I say, I haven't really thought about Hecate, because she's not a part of my practice on a daily basis. So, that's just how my practice is. She's not somebody that's worked into my practice on a regular basis. So, or at all in some cases. So, yeah, if you don't have the answers to something, it's okay not to have those answers. Um, you know, yeah, I think I just want to leave it there with that one. So moving on. Christo-Pagans, to me, at, at its very core, is admitting that you don't have the answer for everything, and a constant seeking of knowledge and wisdom is strived for. And by that I mean, we don't know everything in the Bible. We don't know everything in all sacred texts. I mean, there are people who have, let me set that aside again. There are people that have read this cover to cover and still don't know everything that it has to reveal to us. It's like an onion, you peel back the layers. It could be like a parfait, but, depends on who you are. It does have layers to it, and there are different meanings that will speak to you at different times depending on what verse that you were reading. And I think that also happens the same way we were discussing the Inner Temple of Witchcraft. Sorry for bumping the mic again. We were talking in the Inner Temple of Witchcraft by Christopher Penczak about, different chords and whatnot that are attached to you from, different past experiences. And sometimes you realize that there's a chord there that you didn't realize before. It didn't just appear. It is something that has been there, and you're now ready to deal with that, whereas you might not have been able to deal with it before. So, to me, as a Christo-Pagan, one of the things that I constantly try to do is to strive for further knowledge, further wisdom, further truth, whether that be an ultimate truth or a little nugget of truth just for me and my practice. So, I think that's something that um, needs to be noted there. Is that as Christo-Pagans, we are constantly searching for the truth, whether it's the truth for us or the truth for everyone. Um, so, yeah, or that it can benefit everyone. Let me phrase it that way. Because no one person's truth about religion or faith is going to be true for everybody. So, okay, let's move on. Because this is getting a little bit longer. I want to keep it to try to be a half an hour ish. We know that one religion for hold on. Let me get my words together here. We know that one religion or one religious doctrine isn't correct for everyone, as we aren't cookie cutter people, nor should our faiths be cookie cutter. The hardest battle that many of us face, though, hold on, I can't read my handwriting. Oh, I didn't put in commas. Commas are important, guys. And there's my other alarm. I'm not editing this out. The hardest battle that many of us face, though, the hardest battle that many of us face, though, is the one within ourselves. Okay, finally, I understand what I was writing. I wrote this at work while I was, just getting thoughts on a page, and yeah, I can read my writing. I swear I can read my writing. It's a little chicken scratch. I have been writing with a fountain pen lately, and just trying to figure out how to best write with it. Anyway, has nothing to do with this. Anyway, the hardest battle that we have, that many of us face, is the one within ourselves. By that I mean, many of us will sit there and doubt and question and examine what it is that we believe, and is it true? Is it factual? And this, to me, would be the birds. These are the situations where we have a message in the back of our mind that being a witch and being a follower of Christ, not the church, but of Christ, is not possible. This thought can shake us to our core and cause us to be unsure, or in the dark night of the soul situation that can be all too common to us as Christo-Pagans. So, I know that I have struggled with this for many years. And at a certain point, I think I just said, I don't give two shits anymore. But for many people, and there are still days whenever, it comes up and it's like, oh, wait, is this really something that's, allowed, or is this really a thing? And those times come up from time to time. And I don't see any problem with being a witch and being a Christian and also having pagan practices and whatnot. But, many of us will spend a long, long time in this situation. And I think that, to me, is the birds who will take these little seeds and will eat the seeds. So nothing, grows. And I wonder of the potential that has been lost out there because somebody had this idea of being a Christo-Pagan and said, well, the Bible disagrees with it, so therefore I won't ever do it. And the impact and the expansion of their mind and of their life that could have been there that they will not know. And it kind of saddens me. I mean, they took their own path in life and their own quests throughout life. But it saddens me that there are people that have held themselves back because of one part of doctrine, one part of teaching that has been impressed upon them by the church, not by Christ. Okay, moving on. This is the last little bit that I have here. This isn't only something to keep in mind when we are studying for our own practice, but also when others are sharing about theirs. Hear them out. Sometimes, and might I say, most of the time, there is something that can be learned from another's faith that we can learn from and apply to our own life in some way. And I see this with the 10 years and 1 month that I had been doing the Pagan Perspective. A decade of my life of learning from other people's practices and people asking questions and giving suggestions and having an input on a suggestion or a question and whatnot. Learning from these individuals who may have been with their practice their entire life or may have only been practicing a year, 2 years. You know, I've learned so much from these individuals and from many of the other individuals out there that are watching this right now. I have learned from so many of you, so much that I have applied to my own practice, and has gone into the expansion of my own mind and my own beliefs and my own way of thinking. That, I mean, I think we all have this like sharing concept where, I share with you an idea via YouTube, and you share an idea via comments or through your own YouTube videos, and we have this collaborative session where I pick up ideas from you that I would have never thought of, and you pick up ideas from me that you may never have thought of, and we have this sharing aspect, and it's actually quite beautiful. So one thing that I would take into consideration when looking at chapter 13, verses 1 through 9, is to keep in mind verse 9. Whoever has ears ought to hear. And might I actually say, whoever has ears ought to listen. By doing that, we will expand our own understanding of our own beliefs and our own way of being in this universe, as part of this universe. So, anyway, that's what I have for this week for Christo-Paganism Sunday. Hey, look, I'm almost at a half an hour mark. So, let me try to beat the clock here. As per usual, we have Tarot Talk Tuesday coming up, where we will be discussing, I believe that is the 9 of Swords. I already have that one recorded. Cha-ching! Loving it. Then we have Witchy Wednesday on Wednesday, as you could guess. I'm not sure what I'm going to do for this Witchy Wednesday. If you have suggestions, go ahead and put them in the comments below. I might do that one on the fly. I don't know. I'm going to try to get it done on Saturday whenever I have, or Saturday night whenever I have the night off, in the next days off. When you guys are watching this, I have my day off. So I might be filming it then, but I'm not sure exactly when I'm filming it. So if you have suggestions, put them in the comments. Put them in my pants over here. Imagine me dancing around. But go ahead and put your comments in my pants, and I will go ahead. I think I'm going to start using that one more often, and I will try to do a video on that. Otherwise, I might just continue with some of the herb studies and whatnot. We'll see what happens. And then we have Table Talk Thursdays on Thursday. and our Witchy Book Club series on Saturday, where we are going through chapter 13 of the Inner Temple of Witchcraft. So do join us then. And then next week for Christo-Paganism Sunday, let me move this book over here. Since I have just announced it, or just had that thought in my mind, I'm going to go ahead and mark it down on my list here. For the 28th, we're going to do witchcraft in the Bible. Okay. Hold on. And I'm actually going to show you guys this. Okay. Oh, and son of a gun, I wanted to do why Easter was timed when it is. I'm going to try to do that for next week. But yeah, I'm going to show you guys this. This is my Monteverde fountain pen. And yeah, this is one of the pens I'm writing with, or trying to write with. You're probably going to see this a lot more in the future if I do grimoire videos and whatnot, because I do want to use this one specifically for grimoire work and whatnot, or have that be the only pen that I use for that. Not necessarily that is the pen's only purpose, but that is the only thing that touches those papers. Anyway, I think I'm gonna make that a thing with this one. This is, again, the Monteverde, and it's an Invictica, or Invincia. Sorry, Invincia. It was a gift. I don't go splurging for fountain pens. And then I have a cross pen in here, which it's not in my bag where it usually is. Hold on. I'll get it, guys. Hold on. Yes. I keep it in a little... And this one I picked up... Right, this is a cross? Yeah, this is a cross. I picked this up at Staples. I think it was like 25 bucks for this. I mean, not an expensive one. The Monteverde is like a $65 pen, I think. Yeah, but the cross pen, it travels with me and gets used for note-taking and whatnot. I'm trying to write more with the Monteverde. Anyway, has nothing to do with that, but figured I'd put that in there. And yeah, we're actually over the 30-minute mark, but hey, I figured the little blog session, and you guys might appreciate that. Anyway, until next time, may you guys have love, hugs, and ladybugs. Bye-bye.